Give me my theme music!
What's up, Buffs Nation, and welcome into Buffs News Weekly Live. I'm your host, Russ, and it is a fabulous Monday afternoon. Appreciate you for dropping by, whether you're in the chat right now live, let me know, or if you're watching this later on, of course, drop a comment down below. It is always super helpful for the channel. And while you're here, drop a like, make sure you're subscribed, and all that wonderful stuff. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. Welcome in again to Monday's show. We've got a lot to talk about today, as always, but the biggest thing we're going to be talking about, of course, is recruiting, because the Buffs have been on an absolute heater when it comes to recruiting high school players. I think it was just a month ago. I think there was a lot of panic with some fans in Buffs Nation in regards to the recruiting aspect of the team. And now all of a sudden we sit with a number of recruits, including multiple blue chip prospects, with the latest, of course, being Rodney Colton Jr., linebacker, who chose Colorado over the likes of Florida State and others. Big get for Colorado. We're going to have a lot to talk about with that, but let's for now jump in the chat, say hello to everybody, and then we'll get on to the topics of the show. Appreciate you coming by Unspoken Northside as always. How is it going? Turbo, welcome into the show, buddy. Welcome. Joe, appreciate it as well. Lady C in the house as always. And TMFB also here. You guys are doing awesome. Appreciate you guys dropping by for today's show. Considering the new roster versus last year, are we better or worse? Are we talking about the roster going into this fall, like upcoming, previewing this season? Is our roster better or worse than last year? Are you talking about the recruiting class? Let me know, buddy. Happy to clarify and go over those, either the pay. Give me my theme music, says after the game. That's right. It has been a good week for Colorado. What's up, Keith? Appreciate you dropping by as well. We are deeper this year. What are we going to say about Coach Hart now? I do want to point that out because, of course, that is the number one topic of today's show, which is Coach Hart himself. Because I could have sworn that we had a lot of people in this chat that liked to talk a lot of smack when it comes to Coach Hart and his ability to be a linebacker's coach. I would like to dive into that a little bit more now that we have even more information, even more proof that Coach Hart is a very successful coach and we should be happy to have him, okay? Outside of just what he's doing in this recruiting class alone, let's rewind things and go back. When Coach Prime and Coach Hart first came to Colorado, what did that linebacker room look like when they came to Colorado? The answer, nothing. There was absolutely nothing in the linebackers room for Colorado. They had to start completely from scratch, completely fresh. And what did Coach Hart and the team do? They brought in the necessary players to create a competing linebackers room, okay? One name that we need to talk about is some of the transfers that Colorado brought in and what they were able to bring to Colorado. I want to talk about Jawan Mitchell. If you guys remember, Jawan Mitchell was brought in at the very last moment that first year. Things didn't really work out with him. However, he did play a key part in a lot of the victories that we had early on in that season. Okay, that's part one. Part two was Coach Hart's ability and decision to bring Trevor Woods in the linebacker room. Now, it wasn't perfect. We needed something. He worked with what he had and helped make that transition for Trevor to at least be a piece when we were lacking the depth necessary. The thing was, those first 2 years of Colorado, we were not going to get a freshman linebacker to come in and be a starter and have a successful defense. Okay. If we had have done that, we would not have been anywhere near the success that we got. We would have been way worse off than we were either of those years. Then you look at the other transfers that Coach Hart brought in. You look at Nikhai Hill-Green. You look at a Levanta Bentley. Lots of people going into last year did not think that the linebacking room would be very good. They thought it was going to be one of the worst rooms in the entire team. You look at every media outlet out there. You look at everybody who is doing previews and things for the season. Linebacker was one of the key questions going into last season. And what ended up happening? Well, Colorado probably had the best defensive part of Colorado was probably the linebacker room. That combination of Nikhai Hill-Green and Levanta Bentley were probably the key main reasons that our defense was as successful as it was last year and brought us those 9 victories, okay? Did they struggle at times? Absolutely, but so did every other room in the team. So the fact is, that was an important aspect. Not a lot of people give the credit for what he was able to do with those players. Nikhai Hill-Green would not be at Alabama right now if it wasn't for Coach Hart and what he was able to do with that room last year. Now, going into this year, we lose both linebackers. The depth at linebacker is pretty much non-existent. And what do? They go out and get another set of transfer portal linebackers that went out last year and had extremely successful campaigns for their teams in both Reginald Hughes and Martavius French. Now Reginald Hughes is being picked on some pundits' lists for Big 12 preseason all-conference teams. That's a massive thing right there. And then the same thing for Martavius French, who had an absolutely tremendous season last year for his team. Both players are going to be starting this year for Colorado and probably going to be a main piece of the defensive puzzle that we have going on next year. So all of that to be said, you take all of that into account, not even just the high school recruiting, which, by the way, last year, Coach Hart also was able to secure Mantrez Walker, a top linebacker in the 2025 class, who, by the way, was committed to Michigan at one point. So to all those players and all those fans and all those people who did not give the credit is due now. Okay, we now have 3 very solid 2026 linebackers committed to Colorado for the upcoming year, including the most recent being Rodney Colton Jr., 4-star blue chip prospect for that linebacker room. We can talk about recruiting. We'll get to that later on in the show, but those are massive, massive things, okay, to go along with the other recruits that Colorado has been able to secure in this class, including, of course, other linebackers. We have 2 3-star linebackers in Carson Crawford and Colby Johnson. Carson Crawford, an absolute big piece that I believe by the end of next season could very well be a 4-star in his own right as well. So those are all things that we need to keep track of and understand when it comes to Coach Hart and what is going on. And I want to talk about the failures in the recruiting, because the fact is that Coach Hart has been right there in the thick of things for some of the best linebackers in the country. You can't fault him if he doesn't get every single linebacker to commit to Colorado. Okay? There's just going to be some times we're not going to win a recruiting battle no matter what. No matter what the reason is, we're not going to be able to win the recruiting battle no matter what. And yet we were still in the final few for a number of big-time linebackers. But everybody would always put in the comments, put on social media how Coach Hart just keeps getting put in a locker because he can't close on the biggest of the big recruits. These weren't just 3-star recruits choosing other teams over Colorado. No, they were the absolute top linebackers in every single recruiting class that was coming on official visits, that was putting Colorado in their top fives, that was coming down to the wire when it came to that recruiting. And yet we weren't giving the credit where credit was due in those situations. Okay? So players are literally saying it's because of Coach Hart. All that plays a role, but they're literally saying Coach Hart. Every single guy that has committed or almost committed to Colorado has said the reason that Colorado was in their top list was because of Coach Hart. Just throwing that out there because I agree with Turbo here. It absolutely is that case. And the fact is that people even now in the comments are not giving Coach Hart the benefit of the doubt / the credit where credit is due in this scenario. We're still fighting that. And yet we have 3 linebackers who are committed to the 2026 class when linebacker needed to be a priority for Colorado. Every linebacker has said they had conversations they had with Coach Hart. Let's admit they had to recruit players and coaching staff across the board, give credit to Prime for the vision and each support person who carries. We almost had DJ Lundy. That's true too. Coach Prime sealed the deal with Colton. It was Coach Prime and Coach Hart, by the way. They were both on the phone call that sealed the deal. Okay? Absolutely. Russ, we trust. Appreciate you, D-Nice, for coming in. Come on, bro. They did not have to say that about Coach Hart. You're talking about hurting his feelings, but of course, Prime ain't there. None of this is possible. And that's always going to be the case. None of this is here if Coach Prime is not here. We don't have Coach Hart as a coach. We don't have Coach Livingston. We don't have Julian Lewis. We don't, the list goes on. Absolutely, Coach Prime is one of the main reasons that anything is happening right now. But to say that Coach Hart has absolutely no hand in any of this and to give him no credit whatsoever is, again, just trying at this point to be a hater. That's really what it comes down to at that point. Because I've even seen some of the biggest Colorado haters at this point and what they have not liked. And Coach Hart haters change the tune online because of what's happened in the last week or so. You literally say this about Alabama. Nick Saban was at Alabama. Some of those players weren't going to Bama. Just stop. With Montrez Walker, the linebacker room is looking really good. It's looking really good. It's starting to be very deep. We get all 3 of these guys to sign on the dotted line, and that's absolutely what's going to happen. I think Colton, he's not a middle linebacker. He's actually said he is. Rodney Colton has said he will be focusing on Will and Mike linebacker. He's not going to be playing edge, even though a lot of people online have been saying that he is an edge linebacker. He has himself has said both what he's going to focus on and what the team has told him to focus on is he will be focusing on true middle linebacker. People keep saying Hart hurting coach feelings like he ain't no grown man. I think Coach Hart is tougher and more ready than most think. He's just short. Those kids want a bag first, to be honest. Yep, some of the players were missing. That happens. Montrez is him. I'm excited to see what Montrez does. I've said that since he committed last year. Montrez is somebody that I'm really looking forward to and excited about. Wait until Hughes and French ball out. We'll have more linebacker commits in National Signing Day because of Coach Hart. That's a great take as well, D-Nice. We have plenty of negative Nancy's going around plenty of the time. Prime knows Hart more than Hilo. It's about relationship. Come on, you're missing anything. Crawford's more edge. Colton is a Mike through and through. And he's already said that. Colton has absolutely said that. So let's go through this. I want to go through the Rodney Colton Jr. commit. I want to talk about what we're getting here just in case you've missed it, just in case you haven't seen it. But let's get to it right now. We're going to look at some of the tape from Rodney Colton's year last year, who, by the way, if he continues what he did last year, this year, could very well be scraping the cusp of maybe a 5-star, but absolutely a true 4-star player through and through, no matter what you think about Rodney Colton here. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of that tape here of what he's got going on. Man, guys, the things he does on tape. This pick six last year, absolutely showing that great talent. Again, that middle linebacker ability. But when he goes downhill hard. Okay? Watch as he comes off the edge here. Just straight through the chip block, goes straight through the quarterback. Rodney Colton, I'm telling you, is the best player in this year's recruiting class thus far. By miles. The guy brings the wood, is extremely fast going downhill in decision making. Okay? Just watch. I mean, he just knows what to do. This is going to be probably the biggest recruit of the entire 2026 class, unless something absolutely surprising happens later on with some top 5-star. But Colton is 100% the best player we've gotten from the 2026 class and going to be an absolute important thing. I mean, just throwing the blocker off of him, getting to the quarterback, causing the forced fumble there, and the turnover for his team. Because I know what a lot of people have been saying as far as, his tape shows that he is an edge player, it seems. A lot of the highlights are that. But the fact is, he has talked about it. He is going to be a middle linebacker for sure. I think his instincts, I think his ability, like I said, to go downhill is going to work out wonderfully as a Will or Mike linebacker. Being able to stuff the run, being able to work east and west along the line of scrimmage, those are all going to be absolutely important aspects to his game. And it's a big reason that Colorado went after him. Okay, guys? It really, really is. I mean, absolutely relentless when it comes to that. Crawford and Colton played traditional 3-3-5 defense. They both played wide 9 gap. None of them have them in Mike. I get that from what he's played. I'm going off of what he said, North Side. He said that he'll be focusing on Mike and Will linebacker. He could lead the team in sacks from the linebacker position. Definitely gives you something completely different. I truly think that Colton could, as a true freshman, bring something to the table and be a part of this team from day one. Okay. I really do think that he could play day one for Colorado. They aren't players, they're coaches. That statement was. Okay, here we go. Able to get the touchdown there. I love Crawford, by the way. I love Crawford at linebacker. So absolutely that Crawford is another great linebacker. I was excited for what Coach Hart was doing with this recruiting class after he got Crawford. Okay. The two linebackers that they were able to secure even before Rodney Colton Jr. Both are absolutely great players that are going to be big parts of this team. Just imagine when Swayze gets his hand on these future monsters. Colton's going to be ready to go freshman year. I'm telling you. Colton is going to be ready to go freshman year once he gets in the hands of Swayze. Hopefully he's an early commit, early attendee. And that's going to be a big part to the team. Colton Jr. is already a huge individual. He looks like a man already. I've seen the other videotape of him. I've seen interviews with him. He already looks like that. Swayze will add 10 to 15 pounds of muscle on all three of the linebackers coming in. Great group of linebackers coming in 2026. You can say that again. Absolutely the strong part of our recruiting class this time around. Crawford could play the star position, north side. I would agree with that. I mean, as the tape's going on, you're seeing him more out in coverage. You're seeing what he's able to do in the flats. I mean, the ability to jump off of the snap, absolutely there. Let's see where he's at here on the end. I mean, The ability to hold up the block and then just throw the guy off of him once the ball came his way, that shows you a lot of stuff going on. So absolutely very, very, very important stuff there. Let's keep going into the video here. I mean, this is what you really want to see, is him able to eat up blocks and then get the block off so that he can go after the ball carrier. Great, great job of being able to shed those blocks in the middle, by the way, in the middle. Like, a lot of this stuff screams just your prototypical linebacker, guys. And that's going to be an important aspect to his game once he comes to Colorado. Stopping the run, going to be huge, huge part of this. This is what I keep saying. Livingston runs multi-defense. He don't have the personnel to really run his defense. Swayze has transformed this team. No excuses, just work. Swayze's absolutely killing the guys, and they're absolutely looking unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, I would say that too, Cam. I would say that we're looking to get that very athletic player. By the way, Coach Hilo is the defensive line coach, not the linebacker coach right now. Just throwing that out there. I believe he does. Salter does have eligibility. I don't believe I'm pretty sure he has multiple years of eligibility. Let me pull up the scholarship chart. Give me 2 seconds on that. I'll get you guys the scholarship chart right now. Okay. As far as Salter goes, yeah, Kylan Salter, guys, is a sophomore. He has 2 years of eligibility after including this year. So he has 2 years of eligibility left. It also shows he has not used his redshirt year either. So he very well could have 3 years left if he doesn't happen to play this year. I would love to get that going. T.I. is going to be one of the next guys to watch, guys. T.I. is the next guy to watch, the next kind of domino, I think, when it comes to recruiting. DeKalon has been my dark horse. We offered him, man. Does he look explosive in the Reach the People videos? Can't wait for the season. He's going to be really important. I said that the moment we got him. I said a lot of people are sleeping on Taylor and his ability to be, unless you're talking about somebody else. We'll have Salter, Hughes returning along with these 3 monsters. Yeah, Reginald Hughes has another year. Kylan Salter has another year. You got Mantrez Walker coming in. Obviously, now these 3 guys, the linebacker room depth has all of a sudden exploded for multiple years. It's not going to be a place that's going to be heavily recruited in the 2027 class, guys. Don't forget about Colby Johnson. He's a dog. Yeah, all 3 guys that we have recruited are absolute dogs, guys, and going to be very important to this. Now, I wanted to move on to the recruiting and just talk about that briefly before we end today's stream here. It's not going to be a really long stream for you guys, just so you know. I'm going to be a little bit on the shorter side today, but the 2 guys that you need to look forward to next for potential commits. Ben Gula, offensive lineman out of Florida, and of course, T.I. from Colorado. Both of them are supposed to be committing here in the next couple of weeks. So those are going to be the next guys to look forward to as far as committing to Colorado and joining the fold before the end of July. Both guys, very important. Ben Gula, guard from Florida. He has a final 2 list of UCF and Colorado 3-star out of Fort Lauderdale. I like where we stand with him and what Colorado could potentially bring when it comes to potentially getting him as a commit. He is committing actually on July 20th, so by the end of the week, we will know about him. And then, of course, T.I. Tufanua Ianatana, defensive lineman, number 1 player in the state of Colorado. He will be committing in the next couple of weeks here. It's coming down to Colorado and North Carolina when it comes to his services. So hopefully Colorado can close on him. 4-star out of Colorado, the number 1 player in the state of Colorado. That is what we think is going to happen. Welcome in, OFB. Appreciate you dropping by today. We lose a lot of defensive tackles this year. Yeah, defensive tackle is an important part, and getting T.I. would be an absolute get for Colorado. I don't think T.I. is going to be easy commit. I don't think he is either. I don't think he is. Excuse me. But I still think and like the potential that we have with him. Coach Sway's the GOAT. Robert Mathis, you're not wrong with that. He is absolutely killing it with these players. Absolutely killing it with these players. So those are the two players I think we need to keep an eye on. Now, just so you guys know, I've been keeping track of Colorado's recruiting class ranking. Before the last week or so, Colorado was in the hundreds in ranking. We have jumped up in 24/7 to be the 79th ranked recruiting class. And with On3, we have jumped up to be the 68th ranked recruiting class. Massive, massive jump. We're talking about 30 plus places for the recruiting class of 2026 just after the last week. And we're not done, okay? We are not done. So we need to keep an eye on that, but there are plenty of more recruits that we are going after. Not to mention throughout the season, we'll have official visits. We'll have guys committing. Those are going to be massive things. But as it stands, as of today, okay, Colorado has 9 recruits committed. That's the most that they've had in the last 2 years when it's come to July 15th. So halfway through the month of July, and Colorado already has 9 commits. People don't realize where we usually are at this time of the year and don't give enough credit. They think that this year's class is not doing well, when in fact it's doing better than past years. That's just how Colorado recruits. That's how Coach Prime recruits his players. So we cannot be panicking when it comes to that and what's going on. I really like T.I., and I really do hope he sticks around and stays in Colorado. Prime likes portal DTs, and that's the truth. You cannot, it's not easy to get DTs to come in as a freshman and perform or develop. Okay. Getting guys who have already developed elsewhere is going to be sometimes the key to what's going on with Colorado. Appreciate you, Lady C. Thank you for dropping by today. Just so you guys know a little bit about the schedule to go on the rest of the week, we are going to do a Wednesday show as well as a Friday show. So be on the lookout for both of those coming up in the next several days. Let's see what you guys have as far as questions, though, before we end the stream. I want to answer any questions that you guys have in the chat, so please drop them in the chat right now if you have any questions outside of what we've been chatting about today. OFB, I said back doing portal picking, and you were all worried about not having enough, and I told you that DeForest was with us. So, Russ, how we feel about DeForest now? We're feeling good about what's going on right now with the recruiting. That's for sure. We're doing pretty good. You don't want too many high school defensive tackle commits. We need about 3 high schoolers to commit from that. Yeah, they're not going to play right away. Defensive tackle is probably one of the main positions that do not play right away out of high school. That's just the case. Stop going back and forth with the dude. He don't know what he's talking about, Cam. You look at Holloway, the offensive lineman. Who are we talking about here? Let's see who you're talking about. Okay. Are we talking about Mark Holloway, who lined up an official visit with the Buffs after adding a commit from him? Looks like Mark Holloway, inside O-line, 6'3.5", 295 from St. Petersburg, Florida, out of Lakewood High School. 3-star, 84 ranked. Looks like they 24/7 has him leaning towards Colorado right now, by the way. So very interesting to keep an eye on him. Came on his official visit on June 6th. Yeah. So that's something to keep an eye on. And they also moved his official visit to September 9th. Yeah, I don't know if 24/7's right on that or not, but another guy to keep an eye on too as we come forward in next month. Who do you think will be leading tackler this season? I'm going to put my money on Reginald Hughes. I'm going to put it out there right now on YouTube. I'm putting my money on Reginald Hughes for the leading tackler this season for Colorado. Okay, that's what I'm going to go with. Reginald Hughes, putting it down, put my money on it. Reginald Hughes for leading tackler for Colorado. Okay, anything else? Any other questions before we conclude today's stream? Happy to answer them. Let me know what you think is going on and what questions you have and what might be happening for Colorado and the questions that you have for 2026. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for today's stream. Like I said, short 30-minute stream. Hear anything about Pecco's son? Right now, it's between North Carolina and Colorado. I know that that's where he's at as well. So that's what I think is going to happen right now. Russ, do you feel the current guys on D-line is enough to make the deal? Yes, I do. I think our D-line is perfectly fine this year. Now, next year, we're going to lose a lot. We are going to lose a lot after this season, so defensive line needs to be a priority. That's going to be something that we're going to have to pay attention to and keep track of going forward. That is going to be massive going forward. Okay. I appreciate you guys for dropping by. Thank you so much for joining me on this Monday afternoon show. I know it was quick, but just wanted to go and talk about Coach Hart and the Rodney Colton commitment. Appreciate you guys for stopping by. For Buffs News Weekly, I'm your host, Russ. And as always, Sko Buffs.